Sitting in the club trying to drink more wet. In this quiet ass cap, I'm a poet.
My name is Kent Wade, and I'm here located in Solace Soul, here with Jeronimo. Right now, I'm in the Soul Motivator. If you need some motivation, some inspiration, and to settle that spirit out there right now in this cold world, you need to get down here right now.
Took my heart away from money, I ain't interested in fame, and I pray that never change. Ambition is priceless, something that's in your veins, and I put that on my name. Only hope I had was sunny.
I appreciate everybody.
Was on my grind, time was harder than the south floor. My mama told me never
first got to shout out my wife over there in the corner.
I grew up looking up
Without her confidence, without her promotion, ain't no telling where I would be at. Also, to shout out Be Good. She's been running around here with a little book bag since we got here, non-stop, and I have to appreciate her, especially with my wife's demands. She's smiled every time. But at this moment, as I bring to you a little bit of motivation, inspiration, I need everybody to pause what you're doing. Bartenders, band, security. If you're not supposed to be in here, everybody just stop. I need you to close your eyes. I need you to take 3 deep breaths. Fill those lungs up each time and release slowly. And while your eyes is closed, I want you to imagine concrete. A solid piece of concrete, sidewalk, the ground that we're walking on right now. And imagine a crack in that concrete. Imagine a flower of your choice. It could be an orchid, it could be a dandelion, it could be a rose. Imagine a flower coming out of that crack. Starting off as a sapling, as it starts to evolve and the arms open up and the petals come out, and whatever color your flower is, imagine that of your flower. Now I want you to open your eyes. Jeronimo introduced me as Kent Wade. Jeronimo came down to Kankakee one time from a good friend of ours, Truniekia out there, who's into spoken word, motivation, singing, whatever the case may be. And he came down with a group of people and they rocked Kankakee. All 27,000, which is probably a block in Chicago, but they rocked it. And it was my determination to stay in contact with Jeronimo, and for 3 to 4 years, I've been bugging Jeronimo for us to work together, collab, and do something together. And I stand before you this evening. As you were thinking about that flower, as you was thinking about busting through that concrete, I want to give you some information. I want to share some knowledge with you if I can this evening. And as a motivator, as a paid speaker, because that's what I call myself. That's what I claim at this moment on this stage, and when I'm at work, and when I'm walking, and when I'm at home, and when I'm working on presentations, and when I talk to my kids, I let them know this is what Daddy does the best, this is what Daddy is good at, and Daddy deserves every cent for when he talks. Kent is a Welsh and Scandinavian name, and by the color of my skin, you could tell I'm neither Welsh or Scandinavian. However, it was named for a man who was there for my mother when she gave birth to me, for my father wasn't there, just like Jeronimo mentioned earlier. His name was Kent. And Kent in Welsh means light, bright. Again, by the color of my skin, I'm neither light nor bright. But when I walk in the room and when I talk, I leave a certain glow.
Come on.
I leave something there.
Oh.
Scandinavian means calmly and finally born of fire. And that, as a baby who had crack in his system, high school dropout, homeless several times, adopted, broken, wounded, went back to college with a 0.64 GPA. I didn't know they didn't put a number before the decimal point. Right. But I can stand before you now as a college graduate with an associate's degree. I can stand before you with a full-time job at an establishment where they would even give me an opportunity. And I work with teens in my community. I work with anybody who wants to inspire and change something about themselves. And today, as you bust through that concrete with that flower of choice, I have some points I want to share with you this evening. Can I share those points with you? Yes, can I share those points with you? Yes, now, as I told you, take a deep breath. Sometimes we don't stop talking enough to enjoy our lung to the full capacity. And so when you breathe in deep and exhale real slow, you're able to clear your mind. You're able to clear your system. And there's something about plants. Plants do this thing called photosynthesis. And by definition, it's a process in which a plant or organism uses sunlight to synthesize the food of water, carbon dioxide, and they make something called oxygen, right? You guys still with me? Yeah. I know that's science. I'm not a science student, and I know sometimes science can make me sleepy, but I'm here to tell you that there's work that plants do in order to grow. Now, as you was growing that plant, was it hard to envision that plant come through that concrete? Was it hard? Talk to me. You talk to me. Not at all. Why not? Because it was a vision that you had. And so I speak before you as we talk about Black Lives Matter. In order for Black lives to matter, Black lives have to invest in Black lives. See, and when I make that statement, I have people look at me and call me Uncle Tom. They look at me and say, man, what kind of brother are you? You're a sellout nigga. No. Because I couldn't expect somebody who has enslaved a group of people since allegedly 1619 to give you any type of credit, any type of recognition. And if anybody's in here with any European persuasion, this has nothing to do with you. But how dare us expect a group of people to accept us, to make sure our lives matter, when the reason why we're in America in the first place is for their gain. So how dare us disrespect our ancestors and tell them we matter to you. Right. When we don't invest in us. And so in order for a plant to survive, it needs water, it needs soil, it needs carbon dioxide. So I'm here to tell you, the first thing that we need to do in order to invest in Black lives is we need water. We need to sweat from those people in this room who have dollar bills in their pocket, who's too stingy to give back to their community. We have to give some sweat in building our community, building our schools, educating our students. In order to get plants to grow, you have to water it. Because we don't water, it dries out. And we are a dried out culture because we're too afraid to work. We're too afraid to bleed. We're too afraid to cry. My mother, who raised me, adopted me, died last year, 2013, and I pay homage to her right now on this mic. Because that was the woman that invested in me, that cried for me, that prayed for me. But until we invest those waters into our soul, into our roots, we won't grow. The second thing that a plant needs is sunlight. And we get that misconstrued when we talk about heat. Some of us are afraid of heat. We're afraid at our jobs. We're afraid to walk out and say we stand and we fight. And I'm not talking about fighting when we go get guns and we're going to shoot every white person that we see or anybody who disagrees with the Black community. That's not fight. Malcolm X meant defense by any means necessary when you are attacked. Not go out and hit and kill and wound anybody. And if anybody disagrees with me, I'm sorry, but this is just my conviction. This is things that I went through. But it takes heat. It takes hard work. It takes moving. It takes constructive criticism. It takes getting out in the community and accepting those stereotypes as they are given because they've been here for hundreds of years. You can't change a mentality that's been around for hundreds of years. When we only been allegedly free for 50, 60? How do you expect 600 years to evaporate in 50? How dare we do that to our ancestors? Martin Luther King, his birthday just passed, January 15th, not January 19th. Right. January 15th, 1929. He had heat. Malcolm X had heat. Marcus Garvey had heat. The Black Panthers had heat against them. But heat is what makes that sugar cook in a plant for it to grow. And then the next stage, carbon dioxide. If we fill this room with carbon dioxide, what's going to happen to us? Everybody in this room going to die, unless you're a plant. You have to capture what counts. And understand where most of us are involved in the hip-hop generation. And there's some things that we can relate to when they're talking about what happens in the urban street community. Jeronimo is a perfect example of how to articulate what goes on in the hood of single-parent Black families and how I can make a difference. I have yet to hear Jeronimo curse. I have yet to hear Jeronimo call a woman a bitch. I have yet to hear Jeronimo say the nigga more than 5 times in a phrase. But yet his points get across. We have to capture what counts. I'm not here to critique anybody who uses that type of vernacular. But I'm also here to tell you there's some things we can't indulge in consistently. Our reality shows. Yes, sir. Our reality shows. I'm not going to touch the titles because I might get beat up. But there's some reality shows, there's some music, there's some so-called leaders in our community that do not stand for what we stand for as a people. And we have to capture what counts. You can learn from a drunk, you can learn from a drunk, you can learn from a crackhead. You can learn from a high school dropout. I stand before you as a high school dropout. I am proud of my GED. It's not 2 + 2. It's more like 1 + 3. It's not as neat as 2 + 2 for those who got the high school diploma, but I got my 4. All right? So you have to capture what counts. All right? The next step, in order to make something, in order for that plant to go through that concrete, it had to grow, did it not? That concrete was concrete, but that plant grew through it. In order for us to get to where we need to, we have to grow. We cannot stay stagnant. We can't stay in the same position. We cannot afford to say we've made it. Because the civil rights movement was a movement. A movement is continuous. A movement just don't go and then stop.